Mariella is buying a new car in Selkirk, Manitoba. The car costs $28,877. She would have all of these extra charges. What will be the price of the car before taxes? So you're not supposed to add taxes for these ones. So let's do that. $28,877 plus 120.90 plus 500 plus 350 plus 100. What did you get? This is in worksheet number 1. This is question 4. This is in your homework. Then we will do the math. 1290 plus 500 plus 350 plus 100. 31,117. If Mariella is trading in her old car for 4,000 and she saved up 3,000 as a down payment, how much will she have to borrow? So now we are doing 31,117 minus 4,000 times, she's in Manitoba, 1.12 and minus 3,000. Right? That's what you got to? Okay. So then in my calculator, I'm not erasing that. Even if you use your scientific calculator, you don't have to erase your previous answer. You can go straight to minus, if you have that, minus 4,000, enter, and then you times it by the tax in the form 1 point, the tax, and then minus 3,000. So check your answer, 27,371.04. Is that what you got? Yeah. Okay, so usually when you do work in math, you check the answer key. If you get something right, do a check mark for yourself. It's really it gives you a sense of satisfaction that you're doing the right thing. And when you get a wrong answer, I would suggest not to erase your work. Just use a color pen, the ones that I suggested you should have, like a blue pen, and circle and make notes to yourself, hey, I have to pay attention to this, and then redo the question if you have room on the side. So then later on, when you're using your notes, your practice questions to study for your test, those color pens will attract your attention and say, hey, what happened in this question? Why did I have a different color pen? Maybe I should just revise this. And then it's very likely you already know how to do that question by that time, but it will help you point out the things that you should stop and revise a little bit extra, right? It makes sense, right? Number 5, Alexander lives in Ontario. He's buying a new car. Car costs $49.50 before taxes. He has a trade-in, $2,500 down payment. 1,600. Calculate how much Alexandra will need to borrow. So the same kind of question, right? Maybe just the answer is off there, because I'm sure you know what to do. Trade in minus 2,500. Ontario is what, 13%? Am I right? Yeah, 1.13, and then minus 1,600. What did you guys get? 41,000. And 48 and 0.50. Is that what you got to, Harrison? Okay. So it's very likely that's the answer. If 2 or 3 more people got it, the same thing, I'm sure that's right. So let's see, bracket. Yeah, look at that, huh? All of that time you spend it, but you're certain that that's correct, then you can just move on, right? Especially with a question like this that you got a fixed formula for it. It's not likely that you're not gonna get, the right answer. Well, yeah, see, like you gotta get that confidence going, Even if you're not getting the right answer, it's like, okay, like, I'm confident this is the right answer. I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna fight for it because I know it's right.
Turned into a boy I knew I was.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's correct. Okay, this is why you think that it says he there, right? Well, yeah, then she has she here. Okay, Makes sense. Okay, let's check to see for myself, mostly not for you, whether you were able to check your answers. So we got 4 and 5. That's 4, 31, 117. Okay, yeah, because it has an extra question there, right? 27, 371. So I gotta take this one out. I must have asked something extra there. And then 4, 5 should be 41, 848. Okay. 41, 848, 50. It might be a different tax there. You gotta check it. So that's done. And how about 7, 8, 9? Did you have answers for those? 7, 8, 9? Yeah, all good. So now that you checked those two, you can hand in your work. Okay, so you can put it in the basket. Worksheet number 1 is due today, so everybody hands in the booklet.
I just put the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing, and I'll give it back the whole, like, then that way you're not gonna lose any sheets. Okay, so let's get started. Lesson 2. We're gonna look today at how to calculate the monthly payments when we are purchasing a car. This monthly payment calculation from lesson 2 is gonna be strictly directed towards purchasing new cars, but it's the same calculation for later on when we're gonna do purchases of used cars from a dealership, because both taxes apply. It doesn't matter if it's used or new. So monthly payment for a car loan, the first kind we're gonna do is using the amortization table from those blue booklets. So there's gonna be the front page there for you. It says tables for unit 1, okay? And the table that you need is that very first table you see on your blue booklet. Let me just go and grab a blue booklet too. So because it's per $1,000, we're gonna have this explanation that I just used, that this is one for $1,000 borrowed. We're gonna have this calculation set up for us as a formula that's gonna take care of the saying, well, how many thousands of dollars are we borrowing, and how do I use these values in the spreadsheet to help me figure out what the actual monthly payment is for a car purchase. It's not hard. It's the easiest thing you will do. Once you get the process, you'll understand. So we only look at loans up to 5 years. You see in the table, it only goes up to 5 years. And we only look at loans that look at these types of interest rates. Okay, we don't use I equals PRT for monthly payment calculation. As I see that quite a bit sometimes when students don't study. They rely on what they remember that interest rates are calculated by. So careful with that. Okay, we only use these amortization table by now. Careful with I equals PRT. Later on, you'll see it at some point in time, but not yet. So the formula we're going to use for calculation of the monthly payments is how much somebody will borrow or finance amount. It's going to be thousands of dollars, okay? It's not going to be only 1,000. So it's the values of the cars that we have seen in lesson 1, those types. And then we're going to take the table value, and remember the table value is per $1,000 borrowed, okay? So that's the $1,000 in that heading of the table appears there in the formula, okay? Does that make sense? If you divide these two, the borrow amount with the $1,000, it will tell you how many thousands of dollars you're borrowing, and you times that by the table amount, okay? And it's pretty straightforward. You probably could figure out this formula all by yourself, okay? So this is one formula that I would put in my study sheet, right? So I have it there to go. So example 1, we'll go through the application of this formula. Calculate the monthly payment of a car loan. So we already know the loan or the borrowed amount or the finance amount for this one. We don't have to calculate it. So somebody is going to borrow $20,000 for a car they purchase at 6.5 interest rate for 4 years. So if I'm looking at the formula, the monthly payment I need a borrowed amount times the table value divided by 1,000. The borrowed amount is 20,000. The loan is 20,000. I have to times that over 1,000 of the table value. Now the table value, you need these, the 6.5% and the 4 years. Those two givens will give you your table value. So 4 years is there at the top of the table. 6.5 or 6.50 is on the left-hand side. And then you go vertically down and horizontally right, and you find the value that is meeting at those two lines. Okay, so vertically down, horizontally right. So our table value that we have to use is 23.71 for this loan. All we gotta do now is multiply through, divide by 1,000, and we're gonna get our monthly payment. So 20,000 times 23.71 divided by 1,000. So 1,000 doesn't have to be necessarily here. You can put it over there too. It's the same. Clear? What did you get? $654.20. Or 74.20. Yeah. 474.2, that just means 20 cents. So we're gonna add that zero there to make more sense for money values, right? So 0.2 means 0.20, okay? And that's the monthly payment per month. That's all you gotta do for any monthly payment. You gotta know the borrowing amount. So if you don't have that, you're gonna have to calculate it. And that's something we've learned last class. If we have trade-ins, if we have down payments, right, we can calculate the borrowing amount. And table value, you use your table in the blue handout. Any questions for example one?
Yeah.
The table, yeah. We get it from, because we have 6.5 interest, so you go here to 6.5 in the table, 6.5, the interest rates are here. And then because it's a 4-year term, you go to 4 years at the top, and then you try to meet them, okay? So you go down under 4 years, and you go to the right, and they meet, and that's your intersection, that's right, that's your table value, perfect, yeah. And then this table from here is this table, the front, or the first one here in the first page. Yeah.
What are these numbers on this table? What are they all based off?
They are based on the formula for an interest calculation. Either if it's a simple interest, it's going to be I equals PRT. If it's compounded interest, it's a different kind of formula. But yes, it's based on a calculation like that. Moving on then to example 2, where probably we have to do some work extra than in example 1. Ricardo from Winnipeg is in the process of purchasing a new sedan hatchback with a price tag of $32,409.99. Ricardo has saved up $1,200 for a down payment, and he's trading in his older vehicle for, let's put another zero there because I think it's missing, so $1,000. Calculate the monthly payment for the car loan Ricardo will need for this car purchase if the loan is at 4% for 2 years. Okay, so the question is monthly payment. So we can start always with the question and think about what's gonna take you to get your answer. And we have a formula for monthly payment for a car purchase, which is borrowing amount or finance amount times the table value divided by 1,000. Okay, that's your formula for a monthly payment, right? And now you're looking at your formula that you put down for yourself, and you ask yourself, do I have everything I need to just plug in and calculate? Well, definitely the table value I could do because I know it's for 4% for 2 years, this loan, right? So all I have to do is just look at the table and find it. But the borrowing amount, I don't have it yet. So that's something that I have to first calculate. That's the step one, basically, right? So this one is question mark. So we're gonna get to calculation of that first. So borrowed amount or borrowing amount, finance amount, loan, whatever you want to call it, is gonna be what formula, what calculation? What do we do? Yeah, it's 4% for 2 years, but we haven't gotten to that one yet. We need a borrowing amount first. Yeah.
32,400.
9, yeah. Minus 1,000, yeah. And then we are from Winnipeg, so times 1.12 and that's right, minus 1,200. Okay, so that's going to take us to the borrowed amount or the loan amount. So let's see what we get for that. You tell me if you get it first. $31,000.
I may have got it wrong. 997. I know.
Okay, somebody else? What did you get? One more time, Brayden, I couldn't hear you. I'm just asking you what you got, so just tell me what you got. I'm not saying it's the right answer. I'm asking you, what did you get?
So like from the beginning, like we have a little mistake.
32,409.99 minus 1,000 times 1.12 minus 1,200. Where's the?
I got the trading here, I got like 100, I don't know if it's a mistake.
I already told you to add a 0 there.
Okay.
So it's a 1,000, right? Which is, it wasn't there to begin with, but it's my typo, okay? So 31,997.999, does that say?
30,089.
Okay, you already got your chance. Somebody else, go ahead.
32,907 and I read
979 and 1.188 like that, right? So now who's right? How many of you got 31,997.999? How many of you got the second one? Raise your hand. One. Did you get a different one?
No.
No, which one did you get?
SB 979.
Yeah. So 2 people got that one. I'm inclined to say the second one is correct. Okay. Now, why did we not get the same thing? So yeah, this is correct.
I didn't see in my first calculation, I didn't see that you added a 0 to that.
Okay, so you were the second person that didn't see that I put a 0 there. Yeah. So I put a 0 there, so that probably affected your final answer. Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody cool with this answer now? We're gonna definitely round it as well. So approximately 33,979.19. And now we have the piece that we were missing to calculate the monthly payment. Okay, so monthly payment is gonna be 33,979.19 times. Now I need a table value for 4% and 2 years. Okay, Amadou, which one is that? 4%, 2 years. You got it, 43.42 right there. So let's see what we get for our monthly payment, which is gonna be our final answer. I do recopy my answer this time around because I've rounded. So if you want to have exactly the same answer as me, you need to use that. But you can definitely use that and continue it. It's gonna give you a slightly different answer at the cents value, but I won't take that as a wrong answer. So don't be scared, okay? But I always like to round in this class particularly, so everybody understands what happens at each spot. So 0.19 times 43.42 divided by 1,000. You can do it all in one go, no brackets are needed. 1475.376. 1475.376. So approximately, we're gonna round right there at the nearest cent. 1475.30. If it's 5 or more, we round up from where we are, so 38 per month. Any questions for example 2? Hey, how are you doing? Good? Sandra? Yeah. Deferred payment and total interest calculation. Deferred payment is the amount paid for a car at the end of the loan. So the total cost overall for the car after you did all of the payments and plus your down payment. And sometimes if you like, you can definitely add the trade-in as well, but that's sort of optional. Not everybody takes the trade-in as a dollar amount because it was just a trade, okay? But it's definitely up to you if you want to add it. Formula then is going to be total loan payments. So all of those monthly payments, you can make that note there for yourself. Our loan payments will always going to be monthly payments because our table gives us only monthly values. So all of those loan monthly payments plus the down payment. So plus the down payment. And then if you want plus trade in, I'm going to put that optional there, okay? If you want to add it, add it. If you don't want to add it, leave it out, okay? It's not going to be wrong if you leave it. But the down payment, you got to add it because that's money that came out of your pocket to pay for this car, okay? It's not the same as trade in. Kelechi, you had a question? You didn't hear me or you didn't understand? Okay, so one more time. Deferred payment is going to be, or it means that it's how much it's costing you to buy a car after you pay everything for it. So you're going to have all of the monthly payments that you pay regularly. Those are going to go towards the car, but you're also going to have the down payment that you paid at the beginning to get that loan. You pay a down payment, okay? That's also coming out of your pocket. So that's also part of the cost for that car. And the trade-in, which is giving your old car, that's optional if you want to add it or not, because that's not actual money, okay? So if you want to add that as part of the cost, that's up to you. If you don't, then you can leave it out, okay? So that one is optional. This one has to go there. Now, the interest that you pay for a loan is a cost you pay for borrowing money, okay? For us, if you think about it logically, if you put together all of your payments for that loan, okay, and you take away how much you borrowed, the borrowing amount, you're going to have a difference of money. And that difference will account for the interest, the total interest paid for that loan, okay? So that's your formula right there. All of the payments, so the monthly payments, and if you want to make them all, you have to times by 12 and how many years you're doing that for. I'll show you that in an example. So that one you can worry about a little bit later. And then minus the financed amount or the borrowed amount, we call it, okay? That's how you're going to get the interest in total. So let's go through example 3 and practice with some of these formulas, okay? So let's see if you get lost, you let me know, okay? So Andrea is able to make a down payment of $5,000 on the new car she purchased for $20,340.32. And it says here tax is already included, so we're not going to worry about adding more tax to it, okay? So tax was added already. In order to finance the remaining amount, she takes out a 3 years car loan at a fixed interest of 6%. Okay, so we have the years and the 6%. That's just going to give us a table value. So you don't have to do anything in terms of a calculation with it. Okay, you just use them and find something in the table. Clear? First question, calculate the monthly payment. We know how to calculate the monthly payment because we have a formula. Finance amount times table value over 1,000. I'm showing you it to you backwards because when you time something, it doesn't matter the order in which you times. So I'm teaching you some extra math here, right? 3 times 5 is the same thing as 5 times 3, right? So we say that multiplication is commutative. It can commute in terms of spots, okay? So either you write it like that, or you write it the way I gave it to you earlier, finance amount times table value divided by 1,000. It's the same formula. Now, do we have all the pieces? Well, for the table value, we can find it really easily. I have 6% and I have 3 years. I will be able to just look at the table for 6%, 3 years, it's 30, 42. So I'll be able to find it right away, right? Is it clear? Okay. But for the finance amount / borrowing amount, we don't have it yet. We have to calculate it. So let's start with that. Finance amount is going to be the price of the car. It's already gotten to the value altogether with tax, right? So we have 2340.32. And then to get the borrowing amount, what do we have to do? That's the cost of the car, including tax. And Andrea has a down payment of 5,000. She doesn't have to borrow the whole thing if she has a down payment, right? So what do we have to do? Subtract 5,000, and we get 15,340.32. So that's how much she needs to borrow. Make sense? So she gets a loan for that money, and then she wants to pay it down in 3 years. Okay, how? Making monthly payments. That's what we're going to do now. Calculate what are those monthly payments. Clear? Yeah? So now monthly payment, borrowing amount, 15,340.32 times the table value was 6% for 3 years, 30.42. And we get, let's see what we get. Exactly. 0.65, you guess? Okay, 0.65 to, so approximately 466.65. So you're gonna leave it to the nearest, always nearest cent right there. You stop, and this number dictates what to do. Okay, so if it's a number between 0 and 4, including, you keep it at 5 in this case. If it would be a number 5 or more, then you just round up to the next number. Okay, that's how we round mathematically. So that's per month. So that you have to round the nearest cent. Okay, so we need to keep 2 decimal spots for money values. And then we gotta round there in a certain way. And the rule for rounding is depending on the number that's coming after the place where you want to round. So if I want to round here, the number that comes after it is 2. Then that means I'm closer to 65 than to 66. So then I'm keeping 65. If this number, it would be like 8, then you're closer to 66 than to 65. So that's you rounding up to 66. But we have 2 there, we can't change it. So for us, it's rounding down. Okay, so 65. The number is not exactly, so I put the squiggly line above the equal to show that I rounded, so it's an approximation there. It's the way it's gonna count when you actually borrow money, one of the payments will be a little higher to account for this rounding down. Because you round it down, it's not gonna cover the whole loan, right? So at the end, you'll have a little extra to pay, okay? It will, or just one payment will be lower, one payment a little higher, but only a few cents here and there. So everybody clear with this? We already have done, I think 3 or 4 questions, right, with monthly payments. So we should be good to go. Now we're doing the new formulas. For part B, it's asking you to calculate her deferred payment.
You don't have to divide by 1,000.
We already did. Yeah, so all of that equals divide by 1,000, yeah. Deferred payment. Deferred payment is the difference between, it's the addition between all of the payments plus the down payment, plus trade-in again if you want to add it. So basically, all of the money that came out of pocket. So in my mind, because the word deferred payment, it's a little bit harder to remember what it means, okay? I always replace it in my mind with cost. How much did it cost all together, right? So in my study sheet, I would put deferred payment means cost, okay? Cost overall after everything has been paid, okay? Now, what did Andrea pay? Well, she paid this monthly payment for 3 years, right? So every month for 3 years means times 12 times 3, right? So 36 times she paid this monthly payment. Is it clear for everybody? Okay, so we take the 466.65 and we times it by 12 and we times it by the number of years for this loan, which is 3. Or just put 36 if you want, it doesn't matter. But you do want to cover all of the payments. And then she had also a down payment that she paid at the beginning, so plus 5,000. What did she pay overall for it? Harrison? And 40 cents. Agreed, everyone? My keys here, and I can check as we go. So now total interest. Total interest, the difference between all of the payments that cover the loan that she borrowed and how much she borrowed initially. Okay, so how much did she borrow? That's how much she paid overall in payments. So we've done the same calculation above. So 466.65 times 12 times 3. So she paid all of those 36 payments. Clear? Yeah, and then we subtract how much she borrowed. Now, can you tell me how much she borrowed from something that we calculated ahead?
2,700 or 790.
No, we borrowed something, the finance amount we were looking for. So how much she borrowed for this car? 15,340.32. Okay, so that's how much she borrowed. And I'm putting here a note for you. It's from A. So we calculate the borrowed amount, finance amount right here. So I took it from there and I plugged it in there. because I already knew it. There's no point of calculating all over again, okay? So now let's see what you get. Got your calculator, plug that in, okay? If I put something in brackets and you don't want to put brackets, do all of that math and press equal, okay? Find the number and then continue on minus the number you see next, okay? And let's see what you get. And let's see who's gonna answer that hasn't talked today yet. Somebody else? Sandra, what did you get? Yeah, okay, so that's the total interest for this loan. Everybody clear? Break time. So your turn 2.1. Let me give you keys, and then it's 6:51. We're gonna go until 7:05. Yeah. Okay, take it down. For question 1C, since this was 8, I just chose years 5, the very top one. You can choose any year you want, really, as long as you know how, if you know what you're doing. If you want to check your work again, choose 5 so you can see what it is. Okay, so that's what I got for 5 years. And then for question 2, ABC, you can copy those answers or take a picture. If you're slow at copying, because I'm not gonna stay more than like 10 seconds here, have your phone always ready for situations like these and click, and then you'll have them. Or again, watch the recording, now that I'm gonna post them, and you can go there and find that page. Okay. 1, 2, 3, done. So some questions are asking you to logically think about a calculation for a monthly payment when you are given how much it was borrowed, so the loan value, and the total interest somebody paid. So when you know how much somebody borrowed, you don't know how much they paid like every month, but you know overall how much they borrowed, and you know what the cost for the borrowing was, which is interest. Can you find out how much they pay per month if you know the duration of the loan? That's a very simplistic approach to a math calculation based on division, right? You just put them all together, how much they borrowed and the interest, then that's the cost for that car. And then divide by how many payments will be over the years they told you that loan was for. Okay. Now I did give you a formula for it to help you in case this is not so logical as it appears to me. So you can use this formula, but only for these types of questions when you are given the loan and the interest as two separate amounts and you don't have to calculate them. They're given to you. Okay. So monthly payments for car loans without the amortization table is the title that I'm using for these types. We have Andra, she lives in Winnipeg, Manitoba. She bought her new car and she took out a 5-year loan from the dealership. The loan was so this is the loan, you're given the loan, and the total interest she paid was this much. Okay, so you have the loan and the interest that's given to you. How much was Andra's each monthly payment? So all you gotta do is put these two together, okay, and then divide by how many payments in total she would have over 5 years. How many payments she would have over 5 years if she's paying monthly? 60, right? So the formula is amount paid back for borrowing, so which is finance amount plus the interest, and divided by those 60 payments. You just split up into formula based on months, 12 months, and how many years, which is 5 for us, okay? So first, what we have to do is put these two together, 25,608 plus 661.40. And that's going to give us 26,269.40. So that's how much money she paid for this loan. She paid for the loan that she got initially, and then she also paid the interest, right? That's how much she paid for the loan. That goes at the top here of this fraction formula. And then you gotta divide it into payments. Okay, she will pay monthly, so 12, and then she will pay for 5 years, so times 5. And that's why Drew said 60, because 12 times 5 is 60, so 60 payments in total. So we're gonna have 26,269.40 divided by 60. So each payment for Andra was 437.8233. So let's practice rounding. It's followed by 3. So what do I stop? Is it gonna be 82 or 83? 0.82 or 0.83? 0.82, because this number 3 is lower than 5, right? So keep the 82. You're closer to 82 than you are to 83. Make sense? So her monthly payments is going to be approximately 437.82. Your turn. Now what did I do with those things? Expected answer there for your turn 2.2.